This video will be quite quick and aimed at beginners. The first thing you need to do after you've installed n8n self-host solution, that is the ones you have on your computer, and especially if you've installed it on a server. Let's take a look. So the very first thing you need to do is open the settings of the current workflow. That is, for example, to add some kind of trigger. Save. And now the settings are available here in the top right corner. And the first thing you need to find here is the workflow timeout. You need to enable it and set it depending on how long you expect your workflow to run. At the initial stage, 1 minute will be enough. Save. And the second point is to check that it has actually been saved, of course. And so why is this necessary? This is needed so that if you write a workflow that gets stuck in a loop that keeps running continuously, or if some error occurs inside the workflow and it loops on the server, then if you don't set a timeout, it will consume all the server's resources. And accordingly, other workflows won't work and it will hang, and in the worst case, it will restart, or you'll have to restart it yourself by going into the admin console. But here, in this way, you protect yourself, and after a minute it will automatically shut down. And if you have some locally running process that gets stuck in a loop, it will automatically stop and you can continue working, check the error you made and fix it. The second point I wanted to show is what needs to be done. Create a separate workflow. And there is introduce an error. It's called an error trigger. An error trigger, and specifically a node called if node. Here we check the box, include all fields. Save it, then go back to our previous workflow, and you need to do this for all workflows until you get used to working with it. Again, go to settings, and here pay attention. There is an error workflow option. By default, it is not selected, but you can choose the workflow you just created. Well, the error handler is mine, and our previous one is called Workflow 2. Workflow 2. And now save it. This way, if an unexpected error or issue occurs in the main workflow that you're currently writing, one that you didn't anticipate or foresee, you'll be able to see it right here in the execution section, making it much easier to identify and address problems as they arise. Let me try to show you an example. So let's try to reproduce an error. Let's say get field. Okay, I have an idea how to try to reproduce it. Let's do it. Nanite form. Let's do it quickly now. Test. It doesn't matter in this case. I need a trigger, form trigger. Woohoo. Trigger there. All right, test. We'll do it quickly now and attach a webhook. Let's say this kind of webhook. So in this workflow, we have two entries. One is a form test, one from the form and the other from the webhook. If you don't know what a webhook is, I'll explain how to work with it in future videos. All right. And here we can, for example, specify that, let's say the webhook, we expect a certain ID and set it to test. Okay. And now in this case, the field here refers to the webhook, but we'll submit the form and see if an error occurs. All right, test. Okay, we submit and then run it. It didn't happen. Maybe that's because this is a test one. Let's try it through production, for example. I'm launching the production URL, opening it here, test. The form has been submitted. And let's check in the executions. We can see that an error occurred, as you can see. Here it says that the reference is unexecuted, meaning we're referring to the webhook here, but it wasn't triggered because we submitted the form. But again, I'll explain all these details about working with the form later in the next videos. Right now, I'm just curious whether the error was handled or not. Okay, it was handled. Let's take a look. Here's a link to our workflow. Here's exactly which node it was and the error message. Here it says reference is unexecuted. So what does this actually give us? Well, this means that all errors that occur in your workflow will come into this. And accordingly, you can set up handling here and, for example, send a notification to Telegram or to some other messenger or an email letting you know that an error has occurred in a particular workflow, and include a link so you can come here and see what happened. So in this video, I wanted to convey that there are two essential things you need to do. One is to set up a timer so that the process doesn't get stuck in a loop. And the second is to set up a separate workflow for error handling. This way, you can manage all errors in one place and notify yourself if necessary.